Here is a king who did not live long enough to distinguish himself as a soldier, statesman, or administrator, yet in death he achieved a fame that is unique. Egypt has always been a land of contrasts, where fierce deserts encroached upon lush riverbanks, where fabulous wealth existed among abject poverty, and where the simple facts of life and death were wrapped in mystery and wonder. Thousands of years ago, a great civilization sprang up along the Nile, an empire ruled by a succession of kings known as pharaohs. At Thebes, many of the pharaohs had their palaces which have long since disappeared from the earth. Yet nearby was the valley of the tombs of the kings, where these monarchs were buried with the most elaborate funerary provisions. It is from these tombs, carved from the cliffs, that much of the knowledge of ancient Egypt has been discovered. Tutankhamun was buried here. He was one of the last pharaohs of the 18th dynasty. He ruled 8 to 10 years from about 1357 to 1349 BC. Although he left no record of achievement to secure a place among the leaders in history, his tomb will immortalize him for the contribution it made to the knowledge of his age. It was only within this century, some 3,300 years after his death, that Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered to become perhaps the most dramatic, important single archaeological discovery of our time. Howard Carter, working for Lord Carnarvon, was finishing 6 fruitless seasons of excavation in the Valley of the Tombs of the Kings when workmen discovered the first of 16 steps leading to a heavily plastered doorway. Upon the plaster was a seal, that of Tutankhamun, and beyond this door lay the entrance to the tomb. Small and poorly decorated in comparison with the tombs of many other pharaohs, it nevertheless was the only unviolated tomb to be discovered, and it was literally crammed with furniture and objects, all of which had a religious or symbolic significance. The plan of the tomb is quite simple. It consists of 4 rooms: the antechamber, the burial chamber, the treasury, and the annex. There was evidence that the tomb had been entered by thieves seeking oils, perfumes, and metals. Yet the mummy itself was intact, and apparently the thieves had been apprehended before they had caused too much destruction. In all, over 2,000 items, ranging from chariots and beds to amulets and toe guards, were found in this tomb. Many were of pure gold, encrusted with precious or semi-precious stones. Some were of exquisite workmanship and artistic brilliance. All were treasures of a king. Here is an example. This gold dagger in its sheath found tucked in the girdle of gold in the mummy. The length of the dagger is slightly more than 1 foot, 12 3/4 inches to be exact. Yet this relatively small area displays a completeness of design that would be remarkable in a mural many times its height. The hilt is decorated with granulated gold and inlays of colored glass and semi-precious stones. The wild animals embossed upon the sheath are alternately attacking and fleeing, indicating that this was a hunting knife. Symbolism of animals can be seen repeatedly. This statuette of gilt hardwood, 22 inches tall, is but one of the many representations of numerous gods found in the tomb. These needed to be properly pleased if the dead would achieve immortality. The face of this figure of a man with a hawk head is inlaid with blue and red glass. Hor-Kenti-Kem was one symbol for Ra, the sun, the greatest and most powerful deity to the Egyptians. In the pectoral or necklace, which is in the form of a hawk with extended wings, the disc above the hawk's head represents the life-giving, all-powerful sun. And here are the symbols of the earthly power given by the gods to the pharaoh, the ceremonial flail of gold and blue glass to punish those who did wrong, and its companion, the crook of the Good Shepherd. The same symbols of power were sometimes found in the hands of the miniature Shwabti figures. There were 413 of these figures in the tomb, and there were many boxes such as this of alabaster, which held a variety of items. The two knobs are obsidian, and directly beneath the knob on the side are the signatures, or cartouche, of King Tutankhamun and his charming wife, Ankhes and Amun. The cartouche on the left is the throne name of Tutankhamun, the second his personal name. These same cartouche were found on many other items, such as this pear-shaped vase of dark blue faience with the king's two names in turquoise. The dark blue cup has only one signature, the personal name, but the spouted libation vase again bears both cartouche delineated in white. This alabaster vase contained oils for libations. It actually consists of three parts, an inner shell to hold the oil, and two separate pieces forming the beautifully decorated exterior. There is great symbolism in the carved openwork designs and inscriptions. The winged cobra, or uraeus, were symbols associated with Lower Egypt, signs of royal power and protection for the pharaoh. This scarab was a sacred charm found between the two hands of the mummy. The embossed scene on the gold base shows King Tutankhamun in the company of two gods, Atum and Ra-Harakti. This amulet, in the form of a jackal, was a representation of the funerary god Anubis. The winged cobra with the human head was the goddess Wasit of Lower Egypt. The symbol is found in many media as shown by this collar of sheet gold. These were only 4 of the 143 objects distributed over the king's body. There were so many other items of interest in the tomb. For instance, this headrest of turquoise-colored glass and gold was one of 4 such objects found in 2 small cabinets. Nearby was another box which had a support in it for the cap, headdress, or wig of the king. The personal possessions of the king are a fascinating commentary upon Tutankhamun. But what was he really like? This is one of a pair of walking sticks capped by statuettes of the king as a boy, possibly at the age when he ascended the throne. The shaft is made of thick gold tubing with the solid gold figure standing on a platform. This is the charming face of a child, beautifully modeled. He's wearing the blue crown with a headband across the brow and high in the back. This is how King Tutankhamun looked at the time of his death. It's a portrait in alabaster, which also served a useful purpose as the lid over one of the 4 compartments of the canopic chest. Covering the head is the Nim's headdress, a representation of the linen cloth which covered the king's hair or wig to protect it from the dust of the desert, and a symbol of royalty. In the center of this headdress over the forehead is an insignia which proclaims the pharaoh's kingship over all of Egypt. The contours of the face reflect the youth of Tutankhamun, and the paint which outlines the features is the original unretouched color which has graced the sculpture for over 3,000 years. Romanticists have read into the eyes a sadness and look of ill health. Yet it is pure conjecture as to the cause of the young king's early demise. The smallness of the tomb leads one to the justifiable assumption that death was unexpected, although the fabulous wealth of the possessions in the tomb is fairly breathtaking. This is no more evident than in the miniature gold coffins found in the canopic chest. Only 15½ inches tall, the coffin and its lid are inlaid with semi-precious stones and colored glass. It is a scaled-down version of the actual coffins in which King Tutankhamun was buried, complete in every detail: the Nim's headdress, the ceremonial crook and flail, the false beard. The minute detail includes pierced earlobes, a remarkable copy of the collar of the hawk, the protective wings of the neck-bit vulture, the buto serpent over the shoulders and upper part of the figure. From the waist down, there is the repetition of feathers with a long inscription extending to the toes. This inscription mentions the god Hapi, who was the protector of the mummified lungs which were placed in this coffin. The liver, the stomach, and the intestines were placed in the other 3 identical coffins, each guarded by one of the other 4 sons of the god Horus. Within the claw of the vulture is the Shem symbol, the sign of infinity, for this was the great hope of the Egyptians, to continue life without end. It was the purpose of the elaborate funerary preparations. Perhaps the spirit of Tutankhamun achieved its desire. Certainly his mortal remains have become immortal.